This video will show you how to get set up with 12D Synergy's connector for MYOB. This connector works with MYOB account write, and that's both the desktop and cloud versions. We will show you how to connect 12D Synergy with MYOB, how to set up the attribute mappings, and how to run a test of the connector. Connectors allow 12D Synergy to communicate with other software products. They run constantly in the background of Synergy to import data. This allows you to work in Synergy with the information that's been created in other software products, such as jobs, tasks, documents, suppliers, clients, notes, and others. It means that the data doesn't need to be imported twice. When information changes in the external system, it also automatically updates in Synergy. The attributes connected to those entities are pulled in. Because 12D Synergy's attribute system is so flexible, you can bring in any kind of data from an external software application. Each connector is downloaded as a separate plugin for Synergy. Once a connector pulls information into Synergy, you'll be able to use all of our standard features with the data, such as powerful search, change history, versioning and rollback. Connectors are downloaded from the 12D Synergy website at www.12dsynergy.com/downloads/connectors. They get installed through the 12D Synergy Administrator program. Run Synergy Administrator. Click on Connectors and then Install or Upgrade Connectors. Upload the connector from your hard drive in the location you previously downloaded it. You'll require a new 12D Synergy license that covers the connector. Speak to your 12D Synergy representative about the license. At this point, you have the connector installed and you can begin using it. When you click on the connector, you get the configuration screen for it. There's a number of different options in here and we'll run through each of them quickly. Clicking Run Now or Run Test will run the connector. You should never do the run now until after you've successfully done a test run, and we'll explain more about how to do a test run. You can set the connector to run on a schedule, and that's how you'd make it run in the background of Synergy on a regular basis. You can choose which user in Synergy the connector runs as. So any changes to jobs, folders, etc., or any files that are uploaded will appear as this user. First, I'll run through the configuration settings that you could use for the MYOB Cloud connector. Identifiers to import. This is a comma-separated list of identifiers that an entity must have in order to be imported. For example, A, D, Q. Leave it blank if you want to import entities regardless of their identifiers. Only import active entities. This restricts the connector to only importing those entities marked as active. Account username. This is your MYOB account username. Similarly for your password. Company file is the name of the MYOB company file. The authorization code allows you to connect to the cloud. After entering the key and secret, select Authorize to generate this. You don't need to enter this one manually. API key and API secret are what you will have received from MYOB that you need to enter. Now to run through the MYOB account write desktop connector settings. Account username. This is the username to sign into MYOB as, and similarly for password. Company file needs to be the name of your MYOB company file. Your base API URL will be a URL specific to your MYOB account write setup. Identifiers to import, similar to the cloud setting, and the same for only import active entities. Next, I'll demonstrate how to map the data you wish to import field by field into Synergy attributes. Before you start, spend some time understanding which data you want to import into Synergy. The data will consist of entities and fields. Entities such as jobs and contacts, fields such as name, created date, phone number, etc. This is the Data Mapping tab. Here you can set up where in Synergy each of the external fields will get stored. You can see that it's broken down into job mappings, contact mappings, company mappings, task mappings. So for example, here we have a company field in MYOB called company phone. We've chosen to map that across to an attribute in Synergy called phone, and that's going to be of type string. Now we can use this screen to change that to a different attribute. You can either create a new attribute of any name you like, or search and use any of your existing attributes. You can choose to leave attributes blank just by clicking on them and saying clear, in which case that single field will not get imported into Synergy, it just gets skipped. The other option is that you may not want every entity to get imported, in which case you can change this imported column to do not import. So what that means is we're not going to bring contacts across into Synergy at all. The other useful feature here is Synergy's automatic mappings. If you click yes for this, it's going to show you a list of all the fields which currently haven't been mapped into Synergy. You can just click create and bulk, and each of those attributes will get populated with their default name. It saves a lot of time.
A useful feature to know about is that connectors can easily be hooked up to job templates. You can use a field that comes in from the external system that, when mapped across to Synergy, triggers your job template's match attribute. This means that when a matching job is imported into Synergy, it's automatically populated with the folders, attributes, files, tasks, etc. from your template. Let's say, for example, in Synergy you created a job template called Design Job Template. It had a match attribute of an attribute called Job Type, and it would successfully match when job type was set to design. This would be an enum or list type attribute in Synergy.
Before testing your connector, always run a backup of the Synergy server database. This gives you a fallback in case you configure the connector incorrectly and need to restore to this point in time. If the connector isn't configured correctly, then it could import a large amount of data into your system that isn't formatted the way you wish. Next, use the Run Test button, which allows you to import a small, controlled amount of data from the other software product into Synergy. Go over this test data and check that the attributes are named the way you want them.
As you can see, there are 3 different ways that you can select which data is imported. The first is by choosing a company name, and then that individual company will only be imported.
The other option is to test by individual email address or job name.
The rest of the data will not be imported during the test run.
A very useful feature that you should use at this time is the Logs tab. Here you can view the list of successful and unsuccessful imports. It allows you to review any problems that have occurred, fix them in the configuration and data mapping tabs, and then rerun the test. When you click on an item in the logs, you get the full message displayed. Finally, when you're happy with the imported test data, it's now time to set up the connector to run regularly and import all the data. You can do this by setting it to run on a schedule, and you can set how often that schedule will run.